VGK sweeps the 3-game homestand. They defeat Tampa last night 4-2. They downed Detroit and Boston in the 3-game sweep. No hat trick last night, the biggest disappointment, along with Tomas Hertl getting boarded on a dangerous play. More ahead on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco with a scheduled podcast. You like scheduled losses? Okay, Tony Cardasco, longtime sportscaster. Please check out my new Believe in Vegas podcast, all things Vegas sports, along with Chris Gawlik, collectibles editor of the Hockey News and the owner of Silver State Sports and Cards and Sports, whatever it might be. I flip them around. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. You could find us wherever you get your podcast. And please make sure to subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. Coming up ahead on the show, we'll talk about the defeat over the Red Wings in the rematch. And is VGK currently, after this 3 wins in 4 days, are they currently a Stanley Cup contender? Let's get to business for this Monday morning. And Tomas Hertl, first of all, remains hot, and he scores 2 minutes and 31 seconds after Nick Waugh had scored his goal. And a big play, a nice dish from Riley Smith, and Hertl now with 4 goals in 2 games. A lot of concern following that game, and following Hertl getting injured, shoved by Emil Lilleberg, and comes up holding, this looked a familiar sight, like a la Shea Theodore, holding his right wrist or his shoulder area. I mean, he got boarded. He got hit pretty hard and flew into the boards, comes up, and he just pretty much limps off the ice. And the biggest issue there, too, was the fact that this was just a 2-minute minor penalty, not a major penalty, because Lilleberg just gave Hertl a shove, pushes him into the boards, and could become a serious issue for VGK.
Yeah, unpacking that situation. And first of all, you mentioned Shea Theodore, right? Same thing. Just the body language going off the ice and everything, dropping both gloves. And you could tell Hertl was in a lot of pain. He was trying to hide it, but it's tough not to assume the worst. Of course, we probably won't get any official word. I won't even think we'll have official word anytime this week, personally. If he's not in the lineup, that's, of course, going to give a clue. We'll see exactly if VGK comes out and says anything. Now, if it is similar to Shea Theodore, it could only be maybe a 6-week, 7-week injury, which takes you right into about the second round of the playoffs. If it's worse, it obviously could be the end of not just the 24-25 regular season for Tomas Hertl, but the end of the 24-25 campaign, which makes our third segment much easier to talk about, in my opinion. As far as a minor versus a major, I think the refs got it right on the ice, calling the major penalty. It gives you a chance to review it. When it's reviewed, it goes to Toronto, and the refs and everyone talk about it, and they make a decision. And when it comes to boarding, there's a lot of discretion, The word violence is used, dangerous situation. Did the player who got hit put themselves in a vulnerable position? Those are all things that the rule book references. And it was violence. Tomas Hertl did nothing wrong. He didn't put himself in a vulnerable position.
He was defenseless.
Exactly. Defenseless, I think, is another word that's referenced in the rule book. So I don't know how you take that from a 5 down to a 2. That said, it doesn't affect the outcome of the game. And if they had called a 5-minute major, so what? Tomas Hertl is still hurt. Who cares? I understand VGK fan base is a little upset. I think the fan base is more upset about the cowardly act of Lilleberg and not answering the bell from Kolesar. I was watching the game with one eye yesterday as I was working, and I caught the Kolesar slash. I thought that was okay, fine. He deserved that, but I didn't know Kolesar had challenged him multiple times. Media members, fans, everyone pointed out, the broadcast pointed out that Kolasar for an entire shift was chasing him around. Lilleberg wouldn't dance,
He
and
wouldn't dance. No.
it's a code of conduct, right? It's the unwritten rules. You answer the bell. I think answering the bell is a little bit of an overused thing right now. When someone hits someone legally and blows them up, a lot of times they got to answer the bell. I don't agree with that, but in this circumstance, a dangerous play was made. Lilleberg could at least have a little bit of a spine and answer the bell, and he didn't. And this stuff will get remembered by VGK. He will be target number one next time they play each other sometime next season. And this also matters to the Tampa Bay Lightning players. How do you not answer the bell when this happens? Are you going to stand up for your teammates in a similar circumstance? So Lilleberg is a gutless POS, and I hope he gets what's coming to him sometime down the line.
Well, pretty strong words there for a Monday morning right out of the chute. And of course, if Hertl, I mean, quick turnaround for VGK. So Hertl, I don't think plays in Minnesota. So
I don't
that
think
would
he
mean
travels, Tony. I don't think he travels.
that would mean because they said he's going to get checked out again today, Monday, and the team.
Why are
is
they checking him out
probably-
twice? Why are they checking him out twice?
Exactly. Yes, I think it's something more than we saw on the surface. Even probably another broken wrist. Right.
It seems pretty likely given the body language.
Exactly. Yeah, he was in some severe pain last night. And so how did they compensate for him? Well, they got William Karlsson back, so he would move up to the second line. You'd have Howden and Waugh, and this is why having that depth up the middle with so many centers will pay dividends for VGK.
Yes and no. Is there enough depth from a totality perspective to erase the loss? Yes, William Karlsson hopefully can go up and become a driver of that second line and keep Pavel Dorofeyev scoring goals. No, of course not. He's not Hertl on the offensive side.
I mean, this is
defensive
a career
side.
year.
It brings a unique variable to that line, but that line's not about defense. You don't put Hertl, Brandon Saad, and Pavel Dorofeyev out there because you want to shut down the other team's best players. You almost wonder if Brett Howden might get that call. Howden's got a better offensive campaign going right now, as weird as that sounds. Howden has experience as a second line winger. He had his own line in the Stanley Cup playoffs, right, Tony? The bigger thing about Hertl here is this Golden Knights power play. Hertl has 19 power play goals. Pardon me. Hertl has 14 power play goals, 9 power play assists. William Karlsson will not take Tomas Hertl's spot on that top power play unit. I think it's Brandon Saad, honestly. I think Brandon Saad is the one who's going to get that call. Tomas Hertl creates absolute havoc from the slot. We saw his couple of goals like that against Detroit's. He can tip the puck from 10, 12 feet out. That's a spot made for Brandon Saad. So can Saad do it with as much tenacity and put up as much numbers? I don't know about that, but can Saad maybe be I don't want to say plug and play, but can he be the next best option? And if Dorofeyev and Eichel stay hot doing what they're doing on the power play, then Saad just has to get into position, which he can.
Last night we saw as well also the Pavel Dorofeyev shot that comes ringing off the crossbar in the first. It finds its way and hits Mark Stone,
who loved every second of it. Stone loved it. Right. Stone was happy.
Right, I know. So Stone suffers a cut on his forehead, is bleeding. The blood just dripping, pouring down his face. Comes off the ice. Great concern, though. That was really nice. Good sportsmanship, even by Tampa, as they went over to make sure that he was okay.
Absolutely.
And then he waves to the crowd and smiles on his way off the ice. Comes back, and that's
a hockey player. That's hockey.
That's going to sting today. And he might need stitches, perhaps. Who knows?
What? He might wear a bubble for a game.
He returned later, but that was a good thing. He'll
be fine. Scary weekend. I mean, think about this, right? I mean, going back to the scary 3 games, going back to the game against Boston, right? Eichel goes down the tunnel. Dorofeyev goes down the tunnel. Hertl is, of course, in his current situation. Mark Stone takes a puck to the head, and he's cut open. It's some collateral damage in these last 3 games here. 6 points, awesome, but we'll see what the totality and what these 6 points are going to cost VGK.
I was curious the reason why Tampa went for a second night in a row with an 11-7 lineup. So I was messaging with Mitchell Sperber from Locked On Lightning and just asking him, why did they play the same structure 2 nights in a row? He said that they like to play this way sometimes to get things started for them, especially offensively. They're comfortable with it. And he said that they go 11-7 to shake things up. Sorelli, though, gets injured early and then comes back out on the ice. So luckily for Tampa, they had enough personnel to play that game. They did not. Tampa was disappointing in that they had a lot of shots from the outside, and we didn't get a chance to see their explosiveness. It might have been a better game to watch, I think, if they could have gotten rolling last night.
Why didn't they? Yeah, but let's give credit to VGK for that. Tampa, I think Coach Cassidy mentioned, is the best or one of the best first period teams in the National Hockey League, and the Golden Knights came out and 6-3 as far as high danger chances in the first period. Note about Vasilevsky really fast. Pavel Dorofeev has that breakaway from center ice, and Dorofeev has a real good move, whether he goes backhand, forehand, or forehand, backhand. In this case, Dorofeev elected to come in full speed, slam on the brakes, tries to go backhand, forehand. What gets me about Vasilevsky, and just a reminder of how elite of a goalie he is, Vasilevsky first goes for a poke check. He misses. Maybe disrupts Dorofeev's timing a little bit, but he misses. Vasilevsky is still able to remain cool, calm, and collected, get his right pad outs, and make the save on an elite scorer for the Vegas Golden Knights. So most goalies, when they go for that poke check, and if they miss, they're hung out to dry. It's a goal for the opposition, and you move on. But Vasilevsky gave himself 2 opportunities to stop the breakaway and looked very good doing it. So good on the Golden Knights to solve them, of course. That's the important part. But it's just fun to watch an elite player doing elite things out there. And it's even better when the team you're behind is the one beating that elite goalie.
Speaking of elite players, Ben Hutton had an opportunity to play for the Vegas Golden Knights after Bruce Cassidy listened to our podcast last week, as we gave a ton of reasons on why Hutton, good job there, Golick, on why Hutton should be in the lineup. Hadn't played since November the 17th when he was injured, was on LTIR until December the 27th. And we said, why not play him? And I said, trade him. And you said, play him. And Tanner Pearson was scratched for Victor Olofsson last night.
Starting with Pearson, curious if there's anything more to that or not, or if it was just simply back-to-back, get some fresh legs out there. Same thing I think applies with Ben Hutton. Korczak is the least most senior defender who was in the top 6 as far as games played this year. Not career, of course, but games played this year. So good to see Ben Hutton at least getting out there and, staying somewhat fresh. Got 11 minutes and change of ice time. -1, but I'm not going to put a lot of stock. I don't know if that was at the
one
end.
shot. I just remember him taking one shot there last night. So
2 shots on goal log, 1 hit, and he gave the puck away twice. And
perfect.
He had one BS block shot, 1 BS.
Yeah.
So listen, good to see Hutton out there able to slide right in there. And I mean, the hope is that Hutton does need to, or Korczak for that matter, when the playoffs start, don't need to log regular minutes, but it's good that they're both ready in case. And I think Ben Hutton should get more time down the stretch in case of emergency break glass.
Okay, a couple of quick notes here. We saw Haig getting his goal back after your guy Kolasar was offsides the previous game against Detroit. No hat tricks last night for VGK. And Paul and Kucherov on a 6-on-4 with 1.9 to go.
Whatever.
Well, it was a big goal because the total was 6 in that game. So it hit the number. Some people got ties and won their parlays last night, but a big weekend for VGK.
Or lost their parlays or their push.
Let's talk about the Red Wings victory in the revenge game as we return here on Locked On Golden Knights. Looking for a snack that is both delicious and nutritious? Well, you need to crack into a good source of protein with wonderful pistachios. Got to tell you, I was at the Smith's Market a couple days ago, and wonderful pistachios are everywhere, and you should just pick some up like I do. It's one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they are packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. That's right. I personally love the no shells variety. Definitely the perfect grab and go for busy days, whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost. They are always my go-to. Today will be one of those days where I'm going to need wonderful pistachios because I don't know when I'm going to have time for lunch today. Truly do not. Looked at that jam-packed schedule. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. The fact that Wonderful Pistachios is a complete protein, it provides all 9 essential amino acids. And of course, that grab and go case, you definitely need to do that with perfect ease. The satisfying crack of opening up each shell. It's like snack mediation. That's right. Call it snack mediation. Whether you are running between meetings or dropping off the kids, Wonderful Pistachios are the snack that works as hard as you do. Get snacking and get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Get cracking, Vegas. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com. Welcome back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. A new week here, and spring has sprung yesterday. I had to get outdoors, Golic. It was just a terrific day yesterday. Gorgeous out, close to 80 degrees here in Vegas. Don't forget, on Fridays, we've got WTF. Saturdays, sometimes it is the Chris Jr. show. Tomas Hertl, hat trick and power play king. That's the way it should have been slated here. Cam Talbot was in net Saturday for the Red Wings, and not that unbelievable stopper, Peter Mrazek, who had shut out VGK earlier last week. Even the Red Wings must have known that Mrazek's performance, his blanking of VGK was fool's gold. Maybe that's why they didn't use him. I thought they should have put him in again in this game, even after we saw Talbot just getting shelled. You have pistachio shells, and you have Cam Talbot getting shelled. Tomas Hertl scores the hat trick. Very weak performance, too, by the fans, about 25 or so hats on the ice, including a dirty one. Did you see that? Ray Ferraro said, "Oh, I'm not touching that hat. It's disgusting. It's awfully dirty." So the hat trick, that first goal on the power play, and then, of course, it was a replay of the previous play with Mark Stone. I thought this play by Stone was terrific. So Stone gets it to the right side of Talbot, right? And then he just sees nobody there in front of the net. We almost saw a repeat of the same play last night with the William Karlsson assist in that game when he went to Wah, right? So he just takes it across the crease and tries to jam it home. The save as Talbot slides across, makes that save. Next play on the power play, it's Stone again with the puck there, right side of Cam Talbot. And this time he just dishes it out in front to a wide open and diving Tomas Hertl. So that was pretty cool, the way that they did that. And then the second goal was the impressive one, though. That was the deflection past that cigar store Indian, Tarasenko. He just stood there. Did you see that? He didn't do anything. Just stood there. And Tomas beat him to the punch.
The Tomas Hertl deflection, if you watch that closer, whoever was it? I don't know if it was Tarasenko on. Whoever was on him on that play,
that's what I'm saying. It was Tarasenko.
They actually deflected the puck first. It was a double deflection.
I missed that part.
If you watch it slowly, there's a double deflection in there.
Well, State Run didn't tell me that. They didn't tell me that. I never would have known.
So you mentioned that the goal where Mark Stone drove the net and then made the pass. Number one, Mo Seider had a rough game for Detroit defenseman. Young defenseman, going to be a great talent. But the Golden Knights just solved him as far as getting pucks across the crease and the power play. But what you like about that Mark Stone goal or the Mark Stone assist is Stone set that up with the previous play. We've seen Stone drive the net where he just basically takes the puck from a little bit below the goal line and just goes full speed to the crease, tries to beat the goalie low far side, but sometimes creates havoc and the goal gets scored. And Seider saw that happen. Sider saw that happen. So he knew if he engages, Stone is going to basically possibly go around him and have a clear lane to the net. So Sider is on his heels, not knowing what Stone is going to do. Rookie mistake by Sider, not getting down low, right? He had his both skate blades on the ground, had a stick on the ground, but you like to see a defenseman not necessarily selling out and laying down, but get one knee on the ground, cover a lot more of that ice, and make that pass much more difficult. But credit Mark Stone for just being an amazing player and finding ways to help this team win.
Yeah, and then VGK runs that same play with William Karlsson. No coverage there on that weak side.
Mo Sider. I think it was Mo Sider again.
I mean, seriously, that's the same exact play. So Cassidy's power play is just on fire.
You can't knock it, Tony. It's the second best in the league, I think.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I mean, it's the Bruce Cassidy influence. And we saw that this was the 14th power play goal for Tomas Hertl. He's definitely exceeded expectations here for VGK. I thought he would still have a down season coming back from injury. We did not see the real Tomas Hertl, obviously, last season, coming off of the injury, but he's gathered himself together and he's having a career season here in Las Vegas.
Tomas Hertl has started off this season okay. And then as the season progressed, as he got stronger, as his injury healed even better, and as he just got his stamina back, he's become much better than I anticipated. Early in the season, I was banging the drum that Chandler Stevenson might have been the better play. And I'm not knocking Stevenson by any means when I say this, but Hertl, and Stevenson's having a good year in Seattle. Like, he's having a standard Chandler Stevenson year.
No one's ripping him, comparing him to people.
He's going to be, compared to Marchessault, right, who went a little bit nuclear last night.
Oh, I loved it. That was
against
great.
The Blues. Yeah, he was in the wrong there, though. But we can talk about that later if we want to waste time with it. But going back to what the heck were we even talking about here in the Detroit game?
I think we were talking about Hertl there.
Oh, Hertl. Yeah, geez, sorry. So Hertl, I mean, you really saw Hertl's game take a turn in December and January, where it wasn't just him being a power play merchant for a while. Call it what it is. His influence on the games from a 5-on-5 perspective got much better in December and January, and of course all the way up until yesterday. Again, the hope is that he's just really sore and maybe got a sprained wrist, and we'll see him back in a game or two. I don't think that's the likely scenario, though, and that's going to be a major, major blow if it doesn't work out like that. 19-10 as far as high danger chances in that game. Golden Knights over the Red Wings. 19 for Vegas, 10 for the Red Wings. Good to see the Golden Knights coming off of that scheduled loss last Sunday in Detroit. Tampa, I guess, had a scheduled loss yesterday, even though they played Vasilevsky. I don't agree with that. But good to see the real Golden Knights team step up in that game and dominate a Detroit team who's desperate right now to make the playoffs. And they've been playing okay, not great, but okay hockey as of late. But we've learned that Detroit can't defend, and we saw more of that, of course, on Saturday night.
Of course, there were not a ton of hats as VGK scored its
It's because there's half Detroit fans. Let's start there. I mean, Detroit travels amazingly well.
Okay, so third consecutive game with a hat trick for VGK. In the last 35 years.
What was the hat trick in the first one? I know, obviously, Hertl. Who were the three hat trick players, though? Hertl.
Doro.
Hertl had, fair enough. Okay.
So it was in the last 35 years, 3 hat tricks in 3 consecutive games. Toronto did it, ironically, last year, and Gary back in 1992.
Okay.
So that was pretty interesting. But
92,
of course, I put my marketing hat on and I said, why don't they sell like $20 VGK hat trick hats so fans could actually throw them and enjoy
it? They discount hats after the game and it's City National the next day.
They discounted them right after that. It's pretty funny. This was a game, too, in which Nick Waugh scores the game-winning goal for VGK. So Waugh now with goals in 2 consecutive games. Adin Hill did not have to be his best against Detroit, and he still comes up roses in that contest. That bar down shot by DeBrincat, man, that was a blistering shot too. And there's no way you could save that. But Just a mid performance, I think, for Hill, but he didn't have to be at his very best.
It's game, 68, 69, 70, whatever it is right now. Earlier in the season, maybe not like in that window from call it game 11 to about game 60. That's when you're going deeper in games and you're going a few layers deep. Yes, the team won, but this could have been better. The goalie could have been better on that's when I think you micromanage the results a little bit better. I think now at this stage of the year, the micromanaging is done. We know who the Vegas Golden Knights are. We know what their identity is. We know how they play. Of course, the Hertl situation is going to have an influence on that. But get 2 points and don't look too much deeper into this. The power play is still performing. The goaltending is still above par as of late. So not going to sweat the little things down the stretch, especially once the playoffs start. Find a way to get the win and move on. Win in advance. Doesn't matter if it's an ugly game. Doesn't matter if one or two players is off their game. The time to worry about the little things is over, I think.
And in that game, Jack Eichel picked up his 600th point, and he had 4 points, including an empty netter. Man, he's just
100 points. He's going to get 100 points, isn't he?
I said he'd be in the upper 80s, and we wanted 100. It just seemed that,
we based it off of his health over the previous years, though. That's the thing. It had nothing to do with his performance. It was simply based off of him likely playing between 65 and 70 games, and we probably both said 85 to 90 points as a result. So his trajectory is there. He's just only missed 70 games for the Golden Knights. Eichel's missed one game due to a flu bug or something like that. But 87 points, needs 13 points in 13 games, and he is above that pace right now.
In 12 games.
12 games. I'm sorry. I see 69 games. I forgot he missed a game.
It's okay.
He needs to stay at a little better than point per game pace, basically.
No, he'll get it. He'll definitely get there.
He has if his season average, he will get 102 points.
Ahead on this show, it's like, did you know that we had this much to talk about on a Monday? Coming up next, is VGK a Stanley Cup contender based on perhaps this past week? More after this on Locked On Golden Knights. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, March Madness, entertainment, it's so easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It is your personal CFO, and it gives you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place, so you stop just managing your money and you start to build your wealth. When I started to use Monarch, I realized how much I was spending on everything, including food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances. You can track your spending and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever before because you can track shared and personal accounts, set your goals, and stay on the same page without any stress. So, take control of your finances today. Use that promo code LOCKEDONNHL, and you'll receive 50% off of your first year at monarchmoney.com. Again, use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL, 50% off for your first year. Go to monarchmoney.com today. Back on this scheduled podcast, Locked On Golden Knights, everything's scheduled. Losses, wins. Are wins scheduled? No.
Is it WWE now? Scheduled wins and losses?
Do you believe that VGK is playing right now with enough momentum to be in the Stanley Cup conversation?
All right, so forget the Hertl injury for a second. Again, we're talking about a team with 12 games remaining, leading the Pacific by a relatively comfortable margin right now. Kings have slowed down. Oilers have injuries to key players. We'll see if it's a few days
Kings
or
slowed down. They've scored 7 goals in each of the last 2 games.
Yeah, but before that, the Kings definitely gave up some ground.
9 more home games to go. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, I don't know. I've said the Kings are the biggest threat in the Pacific. And it seems like right after the Kings beat the Golden Knights that they kind of slowed down a little bit. Although 8-1-1 their last 10, so maybe
Yeah,
they've been
they
drinking
slowed
early
down
this
because they
morning.
had that one loss to Minnesota. That was it.
Yeah, no, 8-1-1, but the Golden Knights are also 6-2-2. Oilers without Draisaitl, McDavid won their first or one, I think, at least one game
Yeah, they
against the
don't play
Kraken.
till
I don't know if
later
they
in the
won any
week
other
too.
games.
Strange schedule. Okay.
Yeah, so listen, in any event, it's game 70. We're talking about a team that is 92 points, a 5-point cushion in the Pacific Division. Again, 12 points to go, or 12 games to go, 5 points. That's a pretty comfortable margin. Just going a little bit deeper for a second here. We're talking about a team defensively that has given up the 6th or 7th fewest goals at 190. As far as goals scored, they're the 5th highest scoring team at 237. They got the 2nd best power play. Their PK is improving a little bit. This is easily, at least through game 69, yesterday was game 70, this is easily a Stanley Cup contender. Now, unfortunately, we have to go one layer deeper with Tomas Hertl. If Tomas Hertl is going to miss anything greater than, and again, we don't know, but if Hertl's going to miss anything greater than the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, then the answer is no. The Golden Knights' chance for a Stanley Cup ended last night in the 3rd period. Without Tomas Hertl for 3 rounds of the Stanley Cup playoffs, the Golden Knights will not win a Stanley Cup. End of story.
So Bruce Cassidy, I felt, solidified the chances for VGK to go deeper in the playoffs when he solidified his lines. I think, personally, when he said, okay, these are the lines that we're going to use in the playoffs, right? And now they've won since he's done that. They had
and
won
Pietrangelo together last night too.
3 or 4. Okay, yes, he did. Well, of course, because we had to get our guy Hutton in there. I mean, he definitely needed some PT and some repetition. So I'm glad about that. And it's a team now, I think, that's full of confidence. We talk about chemistry and everything else, but they are off the charts confident right now. And goaltending has pretty much evened out for VGK. 16 wins now for Samsonov. I can't get away from saying that. For Samsonov, 16 wins on the season. And Aiden Hill is starting to play better post-extension.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as far as the VGK system goes, you need serviceable goaltenders. If they want to be great goaltenders, that'll help, of course. But with the defensive structure and the top 6 defenders for the Vegas Golden Knights, you don't need a Vasilevsky back there. You'll take a Vasilevsky, and if Aiden Hill wants to do his best Vasilevsky impression, all the better. But you can get by with a goaltender simply making their layups, and this team would have a chance to compete for a Stanley Cup. Again, the Hertl situation, I think, derails that in a major fashion should Hertl miss greater than 1 round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. But good to see both goalies doing well. Samsonov, I said this since sometime in the preseason, there's going to be moments where Samsonov is fantastic. Last couple of starts been pretty good. And then there's going to be moments where he's like a lower level beer leaguer out there that put back about 6 or 7 beers before the game started. And that's what you get with Samsonov. That's the book on him. He can stay healthy. He played 50 games, 50 appearances for Toronto last season. So if you need Samsonov to anchor the team, he can do that. If you got Reliant Samsonov in the playoffs, God help us.
Yeah. We better get out of here for this lengthy edition. Yeah, we'll take it home right now. Don't forget Fridays, WTF, Saturdays, sometimes the Chris Times Chris Jr. show. Don't forget to please subscribe to our Lockdown Golden Knights YouTube channel. Have a great Monday, everyone. For my man, Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cardasco. We'll see you again tomorrow. It'll be game day once again. They're coming every other day now, coming rapid fire. Yeah, pretty much here as it's the end of the season ahead. Take care. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Lockdown Golden Knights.